Thanks to all of you. Welcome. Thanks for attending. This is part of our Restarting Your Business series that's hosted by the Metuchen Area Chamber of Commerce. This is the fifth in our series of topics for restarting your business, and today's presentation is how to mindfully reopen your business with Jim Handlin, who is from the Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Center of New Jersey. We're recording this meeting, so as we have with previous ones, if you want to see the meeting after we're done, you can look for it on the Metuchen Area Chamber of Commerce YouTube channel. So in order to keep the audio somewhat clear, Tyrene's going to mute all the participants. If you have any questions or comments that you want to make, you can put them in the chat box. I'll be monitoring the chat box, and so we'll be able to address them at the end. And if we can open it up a little bit, we'll do that as well. And I can tell you, I'm really excited about today's presentation because I took an MBSR, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction class, about 12 years ago, and it really made a huge difference in my life. So I'm hoping that that this is the beginning of you all having a great change similar to the one that I experienced from mindfulness-based stress reduction. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jim. I'm going to mute myself, and I'm really looking forward to this. And thank you, Jim, for being with us today.
Cool. Thank you for having me, and for the chamber to have me. It's been just wonderful. So I'm gonna, I will. I want to make sure, can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? Okay, we're set. All right. So we've had a business in Metuchen since 2004. We're on Amboy Avenue. 328 Amboy Avenue. And like with all of us, it's difficult to reboot and restart. We haven't been in our office for 4 months, or 3 or 4 months. So we've had to move online. And that meant learning Zoom. It meant preparing ourselves to offer our next mindfulness course via Zoom, and to create a presence online. So in order to have people interested and find us, and our own sense that we've always taught this live, person to person. So this is a challenge for us to see if we can really teach this in a very mindful way online via Zoom. So that was the challenge. So we decided on a couple of things to make this as an attractive offering for people who might be interested in taking our mindfulness course. So the first thing that we did is we created, knowing that many people are unemployed at this point, we created a price structure, which is a voluntary price structure. So in the past, we've charged $500 for the 8-week course, which comes with a half-day retreat. So that's like a 9th class. All the manuals, the literature, and so forth. So all of that stuff has had to be moved so that we can get that material to people online, etc. So we decided to have a sliding scale from 300 to 550. So if someone could pay 550, that would help us defray the cost for people who might not be able to. So we have that price. So we changed our pricing. Secondly, knowing that this is online and knowing how valuable this is to have in person, we decided that anyone who took the course online would then, for free, be able to take the 8-week course once we're back to, quote, normal, once we're back to the possibility of being able to meet. And generally, we use JFK Conference Center, which is right across the street from the emergency room at JFK. We rent large space. Part of what we offer is once you take our course for the rest of your life, you can take our retreats. We have 2 retreats a year that we hold at JFK Conference Center. So that's pretty much how we've rethought our business, repositioned it. And so we looks like we'll have a course. Our upcoming course is June 23rd. It's a Tuesday, and we're going to have it in the evening from 7:30 to 9:30. And if you're interested, you can, in the chat, leave your email, and I will send you literature about the class and some materials and so forth, so that you'll have a full sense of what this is and its benefits. So thanks, Patricia, for giving us a little, what the Greeks would call an encomium, or a little sort of advertisement or praise for your direct experience. And that's a good way to start. So what is mindfulness? There's so much stuff out there now on mindfulness that it's almost become a cliche, and people think they know what it is, when in fact, they often don't. I mean, they don't know it in any kind of deep way. So I'm going to give a definition, and then I'm going to play with the definition a little bit so you can get a sense of what it is. So what's most important from the point of view of mindfulness is your lived experience. And no one has given you a manual on how to live and be present to your lived experience moment by moment. And so that's what mindfulness is all about. The definition of mindfulness that Jon Kabat-Zinn gave, he's the founder of this, and in a bit I'll talk about how it became so popular. But his definition initially was paying attention. So we all have the possibility of awareness, of being a little bit more awake, being present. These are all sort of synonyms for that. So paying attention, that's the wakefulness part. That's the attention part. To moment by moment, whatever it is that arises in the moment, whatever that content is, one can come at it or come to it. So that's your lived experience. That's your live experience. Right now, for example, we can come to where we are, the fact that we're sitting or wherever we are, and take in the room that you're in, taking in the participants that you can see on the screen. And just, this is your lived experience. This is the moment by moment that you're in now. And all we ever have is now. So coming back to the definition, it's paying attention moment by moment on purpose. And that's where this manual comes in that we teach. The course teaches you how to do that. It gives you a manual and the live experience, the direct experience of being able to be present to whatever's happening in your life, whatever the content happens to be. And the content can be good. It can be bad. It can be pleasant. It can be unpleasant. It also can be neutral. Neutral would be, for example, right now I'm not having a toothache, and you're happy not to have the toothache, but it's neither pleasant nor unpleasant. So we have a range of experience that can occur in the moment. So it's paying attention on purpose, moment by moment, to whatever is arising without judgment. This is a big one, because we're always liking, disliking. We want to get rid of this. We want to change that. We're not happy with this. We're not happy with that. The whole range of that, right? So without judgment, like right now, you're here. We're here. We're all here together. And our lived experience, this is our lived experience in this moment. So paying attention, moment by moment, on purpose, without judgment, working with judgment, seeing judgment, and open-hearted, opening, being able to be open. Open means to be resilient, to be able to adapt, to be able to shift, to be able to be creative with whatever it is that's arising. and having that come out of some kind of openness. So in a sense, we can say Jon Kabat-Zinn has shifted that a little bit, and he talks about it, mindfulness now, as an intimacy with your own mind, an intimacy with your own self, an intimacy with your own lived experience. We're alive. Why shouldn't we really delve into who and what we are and what our possibilities are in terms of using awareness, using consciousness, using what we have, what we've been given, which often just lies flat. We don't do anything with it. We don't try to cultivate it. And yet that's something that can last and last. He talks about it now in his definition as a love affair with one's life. How cool is that? It's not a chore to sit and do a meditation. If it's from the perspective, it's a love affair with your own life. To be present. Who wouldn't want to be present? To grandchildren, to children, to pets, to whatever's there, your garden, your life. And too often we're wrapped up in doing. So we've become doing machines, constant doing, and we've forgotten completely about another word for paying attention is being. Being, allowing the lived experience to become part of our life, built into our life. So we're in touch with it. So really what meditation is Jon Kabat-Zinn again divides it into two things. He talks about formal practice. Formal practice would be things like sitting and doing a meditation, and we're going to do a little practice in a minute. Paying attention. So the practice would be sitting meditation, or it might be mindful yoga, or it might be a walking meditation. These are all formal kinds of practices. And those practices slow things down so we can begin to get a real taste of what it is that awareness and attention and these kinds of things that we've never been educated, we've never been given an education in, so that we can see them slowed up enough so that we can begin to see, oh yes, this is important. And the key, what meditation really is about is your life. That's he calls that the informal practice, but that's what the whole thing is about. Again, coming back right now to this moment, can you be present? Can you be present to my voice? Can you be present to the fact that you're in a body, that you're sitting? Can you feel the cushions? Can you feel the chair? Can you feel your feet on the ground? That's like a meditation right there, but you can do that. You can be present wherever you are because you have this unbelievable nervous system that can do this. So, let's do a practice. So we'll do we'll do a combination of two formal practices. So the first thing is to sit upright. We like to do this so that we have a sense of, we're right here. And we can have our eyes open for the first part of this, and then I'll instruct you on closing the eyes. So just looking ahead, and we're going to do some very mindful movement. So taking a breath, and the full breath in, let it all the way out, in and out. And then very, very slowly, we're going to, and I'll demonstrate it, what we're going to do. We're going to move the head all the way over here, but we're going to do it slowly. So taking a breath, and then very, very slowly moving the head to the left and seeing, taking a look at what's there in the room, what's there in your environment, what's there moment by moment for you as you do this. And then sensing it in the body, the ligaments, noticing the neck, how stiff it is, and going as far as you can, and then maybe like with yoga, practicing a little further and then backing off. And then very slowly beginning the return to center. And when we get to center, coming to that nice breath again. Taking plenty of time. I'm getting a sense of feeling what it's like to be centered. And we use that word centering. So here we are, nice breath at center, letting go, maybe falling a little bit into the body. And then beginning the turn to the right, very slowly, moment by moment, taking everything in, taking your lived experience, paying attention, being awake. These are all synonyms. And again, when you get as far as you can go, just playing with that a little bit, stretching into it, moving back, playing. And then when you're ready, very mindfully, moment by moment, coming back to center. And then that breath, coming to that breath at center, that deep breath, and letting out, letting go. And then if you wish, just closing your eyes. Just dropping right in. And this drop in we call sitting. And we can just listen. We don't have to do anything. We're here. We're present. And if there are any sounds, we are not pushing sound away. We can just be with the sound, allowing the sound. And if thoughts come, allowing the thoughts or feelings. Then we can breathe. We're in touch with our breath. Seeing how you are. How am I right now? And you can notice things. Notice your mouth. How are you? Are you a little dehydrated? Are you just right? And perhaps even sensing the breath in the nostrils. Maybe one nostril is more open than the other. Just being curious about that. Really being curious about this possibility of just being here. And perhaps even breathing from the tips of the nostrils, sensing the breath there as we take it in, following the breath. The breath is something we can come back to. And noticing that thoughts arise. Thoughts are part of it. You get up in the morning and the mind's thinking. You're never going to throw out thought. You're never going to get rid of thought. It's always there. Sometimes very loud, sometimes very soft. But we have a mind, so we're going to think. And how do you feel right now? What does this feel like? And can you sense your body, that you are embodied? Another definition of mindfulness is inhabiting your body, inhabiting your potential, inhabiting your life. But the purpose of this is to practice. This is a formal practice on how to inhabit your life, your lived experience. Allowing whatever arises, thoughts, feelings, sensations in the body, allowing them and coming back to the breath or to hearing, to listening, coming back to the space of the room and the fact that you're sitting in this space you organized. And we're here breath by breath, moment by moment, just as we are, just as it is for us right now. And when we're ready, we can come back to opening the eyes and again, taking in the room, taking in the space, taking in the fact that we're on Zoom, taking in the fact that we're a group and we're here, all of us, in this moment when we open the eyes. So everyone's okay? We're here. All right. And normally in a class, we won't do this now, but we would process this. So we would spend some time to come back and process the experience and sort of take it apart, tease it apart. And the fact that there's a group, a nice sized group, different people will bring in different things, different experiences. For example, how did it feel? A lot of people will have all kinds of things to say about different feelings that might have arisen, but people might bring up sensations in the body. Maybe there was a twitch in the leg or in the toe or some kind of thing like that. And someone inevitably will bring up thought. And we ask, and you can even raise your hand now, how many people had thoughts? Yeah, so thoughts are part of it. How many had feelings? Some kind of feeling. Yes, right? How many people had some kind of sensation? Right? And how about the little bit of yoga, that mindful movement, right? So simple. How many people had a sense of center, that they have a center? That they're not the right side of the body or the left side, but there's a center. And they were able to come back to the center. So that's it. That's it. And it's not for sitting in the meditation. It's for living your life experience, inhabiting your life. That's what we're teaching. and have been teaching for 16 years now in Metuchen. And now, hopefully, on Zoom. And, this is a nice practice for me to be able to do this. All right, now let's talk about how this became mainstream. What's very interesting is at the beginning of the 20th century, well, we're talking now about 1860, 1870, 1880, and going on into the 1900s. Medicine was not the way medicine is today. A huge discovery in medicine was nothing that had to do with solving anything about viruses or making the heart better or working on the brain. It was a simple checklist. And you know the checklist if you go to your internist or if you happen to end up in an emergency room or in a hospital at any point. And the checklist is very simple. The checklist, they take your pulse. So one of the items is taking your pulse, looking at your blood pressure. Another one is your temperature. Another one is your weight. Another one is your respiratory level. And sometimes they will actually take your blood pressure as well. Usually they do. So those are the things that are on the checklist. Now, before, let's say 1880, when you went to a doctor, or there were not as many hospitals then, it was whatever the doctor brought to the table. There was no system. So anything that affects that list is of great importance. And in 1968, Scientific American published a study that was done at Harvard Medical School by Dr. Benson and Dr. Wallace, his student. And what they did is they used transcendental meditation, and they had a large group of people, one in a control group, and who got a relaxation technique of one kind or another, and the other group got the transcendental meditation, which is a meditation technique. And the people that received the transcendental meditation, what happened is they realized that it lowered blood pressure. So this article in 1969 in Scientific American showed that meditation could bring down blood pressure. Now, high blood pressure is one of the things that's a sign that you could have a heart attack. So then after this, John Kabat-Zinn, because he was at UMass Medical School and he started this mindfulness-based stress reduction, which I'll talk about in a minute, he began doing various scientific studies. And one of the things he did was UMass Medical School was a place where if you had very bad psoriasis, you could come and you could take treatments. And the treatments occurred in a light box. So you would go into the box, and it was like a phone booth, and you would take this light treatment because they didn't have the drugs that they have today to treat psoriasis. It was treated basically by doses of ultraviolet light, sunlight, so forth. So what he did is he put together at the time they had cassettes, and he put a little cassette player in there, and he divided a group up into the people who were going to get a nice little sort of restful song and talk by somebody. That was the control group, and the other group got the meditation that you just got. And what they found was, lo and behold, it lowered blood pressure. But not only that, it allowed the people who took the treatment to have their skin clear up more rapidly. And they also found significantly there was a longer time before the people who were treated with the meditation in the light booth coming back to UMass for another treatment in terms of psoriasis. So this was all like big news. Now, the nice thing was that transcendental meditation was connected to a religion, and as a result, that even though it's, you know, probably non-secular, the fact that the Maharishi was from India and so forth, and he had fancy, you know, Hindu sort of dressing and all of that of gurus. What John Kabat-Zinn was a scientist. He was a PhD from MIT. And so he was interested in biology, cellular structures, et cetera, et cetera. So he was able to create a curriculum. A curriculum, you know, from being in school, is a way to educate this. So what he did is he opened up in the basement of UMass Hospital. He was in kind of the Siberia of the hospital. And managed care had come in, and the doctors had a lot of people who were taking up a lot of their time because they couldn't get well. And a lot of it was they could get quite aggressive with the doctor. So John Kabat-Zinn said, if you have anybody like that, you send them to me and I will work with them. And so he began in the 1970s, late 70s, 77, 78, 79, setting up this, what he called a stress reduction center. And he offered this curriculum that he put together, a very powerful curriculum on how to teach this. And so that then became popular. So you had different TV people coming in and looking at the results, and then scientific papers were being, other kinds of papers looking at depression, looking at anxiety and the use of mindfulness for that. And it just mushroomed. So now there's like thousands and thousands of studies at NIH, so the National Institute of Health, studying the effects of mindfulness, for example, on depression. So there's a book called The Mindful Way Through Depression, because it's great in terms of depression. If you're having a love affair with your life, for example, you're really inhabiting your life, you could imagine that your depression might lessen. Same thing with anxiety and so forth. So it's had a huge, if you want, impact in terms of people's health. And it's now millions of people worldwide are aware of mindfulness-based stress reduction, and it is the protocol that's used. This 8-week course that we teach is the exact course that John Kabat-Zinn taught at UMass Medical, and we were certified. My wife and I, both of us, were certified. So very difficult certification. And we were taught and studied directly with John Kabat-Zinn at UMass Medical. So that's the effect, if you want, of if you can be more present, then you can. It has effects on your healthier, your blood pressure's down. There's a lot of work been done on mindful eating, on mindful way through, as I said, through depression, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so I think I've pretty much covered what I wanted to say. Again, we are the Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Center of New Jersey. We started in Metuchen in 2004, and we have, which is rare, 2 certified teachers, and we've had a successful business over these 16 years in Metuchen, and as I say, we've offered a whole new pricing and so forth in order to have this with integrity on Zoom, and to have people feel that this can be delivered through the electronic media, tech media, rather than just in person. And that's why I wanted to give this little exercise so that you could get a sense that, yes, this can be taught by Zoom. Okay, so I'm open to anyone who has questions or comments or things that they would like to say. And,
Hi, Jim. One question. What are the requirements or background necessary in order to go through the training so that you can be certified to teach mindfulness?
okay, so the question is, how would you get certified? The first step is to take the 8-week course. So this is the foundation course, though, and all the courses, because we're well known at UMass, and it's UMass and Brown University that we're also certified by Brown University. That they're the two that do the teacher training. Those are the two places where you can get teacher training or certification. So the next step beyond us is to take the teacher training course. There's one that is offered periodically at Omega Institute, but that's closed at this point. There's another one that's offered at Ramapo College periodically, which is in northern New Jersey, very close to the New York State border. And people from Brown come down to do this, the second leg of it. And then there's a series of retreats that you have to have, and then some practice and so forth. But the first step is the 8-week course, that you've taken that course, because that's the backbone of the whole thing. Does that make sense?
That made a lot of sense. Thank you. Jim, can you give some examples of how people have used the techniques that they're taught at during the course in their business?
Okay, so business is people, right? Business is relating to people. You have to be able to relate to people. And actually, there's all these studies that American education isn't up to it around the world, and we rank maybe way down of the if you want major countries. We're probably 50 or 60 in terms of math and calculus. We're certainly not at the top. But what happens in America, which is extraordinary, our education in a way prepares people to open up small businesses, because they learn these wonderful people skills. They know how to party, they know how to, in class, raise their hand, they know how to be difficult. They learn all of these things that if you go to a Europe, and I've had the pleasure of being in schools in China, in India, in Europe, you can't speak. There isn't that kind of interaction. Things are more fixed. So what's so lovely about having a business, and 50% of the economy is small businesses, is communicating with people, being part of a chamber, being part of having community, having relationships. So you find something that you love, a product that you love, let's say, or in our case, something that deals with awareness and things that people normally aren't trained in. So an educational product, or you have a business that offers pizza, but in all of those businesses, there's somebody who has the people skills that can represent the business and can represent it through their energy, through their awareness, through their presence. So my hypothesis is that behind every successful business is this kind of presence. The customer comes in and you're present to the customer. And what's great about mindfulness in conjunction with a business, it helps you to be more present. And people can tell if you're present, right? You can tell right away if someone's distracted. Even on the phone, you can tell. They're not there. You go to a department store, there's nobody at home in the old days, right? At Macy's, you had to like almost yell, help wanted in the center of the store, and unless you were at the cosmetic counter, you had to yell for somebody help. Well, where is the register? So you can tell when nobody's at home. And what's great about the small businesses is somebody's home, somebody's paying attention, somebody's paying attention to the quality of the ice cream that's being served, or there's a special kind of ice cream, or there's something there. Or if it's a business with pizza, the way the pizza is made, the attention to how the help is and how the help is with the customers and so forth. So presence is a huge part and not to be underestimated, given, as I say, the difference. Why does America have so many businesses? Well, our educational system does prepare us to do business. Whereas in other countries, that's not the case. It's much more hierarchical. And if you make a mistake in one of those countries and go out of business, and you go belly up, you're seen as worthless. Whereas in America, you can fail and you can start up another business. So we take all of that for granted. It makes sense? It's another take.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Jim. Okay, I don't see any other questions in the chat box. I can't see anybody waving. Anybody have anything? Oh, all right. So we have a comment that says, I can see customers appreciating how mindful I am with their pets when I notice things about their pets that they didn't tell me about.
Absolutely, right? That's what I'm talking about. It's that human connection. And people remember that. Like what you remember that. If you go to a teller in a bank and there's like 3 tellers and you have a choice, you'll go to the teller that remembered that if you brought your dog in, the dog wants a treat or whatever. I mean, that's how we train people, right? In a business, we want our people to be awake. We want them to be present, because that means what? They're living their life. They're engaged with their life. Business is about life. It's a transfer. It's a service, right? Somebody's come for your service and your product. The product is one thing. The service is another. Even look at the big companies like Amazon. It's all about the service. It's going to get there overnight or the next day. In fact, it's had a falling off because they're not getting there the next day. So look at all that energy, all of the folks in those white trucks with all of the packages, and it's all about Amazon's promise that it's going to get there, you're going to get it for sure at a decent price and so forth, versus, a standoffish kind of thing. The great thing that Metuchen has going for it, it's a lot of small businesses. So people would rather deal with you, especially if they have to return something, than to deal with an Amazon. So that's the downside in a sense. Who wants to go through that if you can go back to the person that sold it to you and you have a relationship with them, or if it's something technical that you're supplying, they'll give you a little tutorial right in the store with one of the help or something. But there's a sense of welcoming, of allowing. There's an openness. It's a lot of the things that I talked about in terms of what this course is all about. If you're open, people know it. If you're paying attention, people know it. It's not something you have to see. You have radar for. Kids have radar. If the parent is missing in action, even if you're in the room, and you know what? Your dog has your dog absolutely has radar for when you're there for them and when you're not. So anyway, thank you for that question. Great question. I have a dog also who knows me better than I know myself. Knows exactly what's going to happen, knows my habits in the kitchen. And if I change them, which I do sometimes on purpose, the dog gets very upset, right? Notice that, change a habit and the dog's looking, what's happening now? Because my dog can't predict it. All right, other questions?
We don't have any other questions coming in now, but Tyrene did put your website into the chat box, mindfulnessnewjersey.com.
Great.
So people will know how to find you on the web, which is especially important now that our person-to-person contact is limited. So I want to thank you very much, Jim. This is great. I really enjoyed the little meditation too. It really got me energized for the rest of my day. And thanks to everybody who participated today. So as I said before, this will be on the Metuchen Area Chamber of Commerce YouTube channel. So you can go back and reflect again on what Jim was saying. And we hope that you can all join us for our next session in Restarting Your Business, which is next Tuesday at noon with Noelle Starry, and that is going to be networking in our new reality. So thanks again, everybody, especially Jim, and have a wonderful, mindful day. And actually, I hope everybody sort of took away something from how you started, which was, you know, just like most of us, you had to rethink your business model. And something you've done for years and years in person, now you're thinking about how do you use technology? How are you going to get the information to people and structure the classes so that everybody has the same rich experience? So I think very relevant to everybody here, thinking about how do you create the same experience in the new reality that we live in. So yeah, thank you to everybody for coming. Thank you, Jim. And I look forward to seeing everybody soon.
Patricia, thank you to the Chamber. It's wonderful. And thank you, Metuchen. We love Metuchen.
We love Metuchen.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye-bye now. Thanks.